Hi, welcome to the garden again. And this time we're starting the 9 red candles, which I've done before. But this time, and I want to introduce John of New, who has been agreed to come and be the first person in the hot seat on the 9 of candles. And why am I doing 9 candles again? Because I've done it twice before. But I got fired up by a quote about less than a week ago, and it said, the phrase that this is the fastest October of our lives. And then it went on to talk about since 8/8 Lionsgate, changes that were foretold at that time have been happening, but the rate seems so accelerated that it feels like we're kind of out of control. And I've been reading a lot of people who feel like, we thought we'd gone through a lot of changes up until now, and now it's like bursting through the gates. And I thought about that, and I thought about the timeline it appears we're on. And this time when I'm thinking about the timeline, I'm not seeing it in black and white as it's been in the past. I'm not seeing a line. What I'm seeing is that our energies are morphing into a space, a bubble that's full of foggy things, but very colorful, as opposed to the black and white. So it's kind of a multi-dimensional cloud that we're walking into. I feel like I've graduated from pen and ink into the 34 box of Crayolas and making that into a multi-dimensional future. And okay, that's great. I have my little bubble and I have my little 64 colors and, I'm doing what I'm doing. But I thought about everybody feels like they're having energetic rainbows. And what can we do with that development of energetic rainbows? And so I decided, I was actually kind of told, light the candles, draw our energy into our heart-centeredness, into the spirit of our body. And John speaks about this all the time. And he's going to talk about it more once we light the candles. And taking our positive revelations and our positive new multidimensional feelings and combining them and making them into some changes. So that's where we are. Do you have anything else you want to say before we go down and look at the candles?
I am just glad to be here for this process, and I think after we get through it, let's all open our heart and lend our energy to this ceremony, and let's talk about it on the flip side.
Okay, so we're going to do the candles now. And then, sorry for anybody who gets motion sickness. Now, on my candles, as you know, I always put a stone in the middle. And I had the chrysanthemum stone last time, which is just for fun and play. This is the peacock stone. And it's for joy and happiness. It's also it covers all the chakras. In other words, all the energy that flows through our body is going to be flowing through that stone. And when I light the first candle, as I light this candle, I want to connect to spirit and energy that flame embodies. That's a flame that's in each of us, that for the positive changes moving forward. By combining our energy, thoughts, and prayers, we will build a haven of safety for us to find peace within our own hearts and have the energy flow into the universe. Each of us has our own energetic rainbows, but we're going to mingle them now and try to find more peace across time. So what I'd like you to do is take 3 deep breaths, and when you breathe in, think about the air going actually into your heart. And then expel the breath slowly. We're going to do 3 deep breaths, and then John and I are going to talk about this. So, first breath. Second breath. Third breath. And now you can open your eyes. You can keep your eyes closed. You can do what you want. I'm going to lift the camera up so that John and I can talk. I'll pull it back down when I turn the candles out. If you're lighting candles with me, you don't leave them burning. You blow them out each day, or you'll only have 1 candle by the time we get to the 9th. It's a peculiarity. That breathing we did, John, I know you're probably aware of this, but they've actually studied doing that 3 deep breaths, holding and then letting go slowly. It actually changes your mind from being reactive to
Mhm.
responsive, so that your mind is engaged in a different way. You're actually shifting. They can put little things on your head. And I love it when scientists tell us that we can do what we always knew we could do. Really?
Right.
But
Right.
this proves it. And so that's what we're going to do, is we're going to breathe in and try to put that light in our heart, because then the energy around your heart will actually grow. I'm going to let John, I'm going to pass this off to him now, because hearts and spirituality are more his thing than mine.
Well, thank you. It's interesting that you come to this through breath, because that's why they call it the breath of God. That's
Mhm,
why the Om exists, is because we're breathing out.
mhm,
Om, right? That feeling. Um, what's really interesting to tie into something you just said was, we all have a primal fight or flight fear response that comes in, and the way that actors are trained to break that cycle is to exhale and breathe, because
mhm,
when we're holding tension and fear, we're holding air in our body so we can run further and faster.
mhm,
Um, so that exhale does release the heart centeredness. But when they do that exhale fully, what happens is at the very bottom of that exhale, there's a tingling sensation that happens in the body. And that is the source. That is the direct connection to source right there at the bottom of a breath. And to do that 3 times intentionally means you are intentionally connecting with your heart centeredness, your love, your
mhm,
place of true wisdom. I often say on my channel that spirituality is a feeling and a being, not a knowing and a thinking.
mhm,
Right? You got to get out of the head and into the feeling aspect. I just this morning did a private one of my private sessions with a woman, and she was telling me how she took this principle and went to the grocery store. And
mhm,
she said that she walked in the grocery store feeling love and feeling that energy that was emanating out. And she said she had like 10 or 15 compliments while she was in the store. She
mhm,
said, I've never had that experience, because that vibration, that feeling
mhm,
actually permeates your individuality and touches everything around you, because that feeling connects with everybody's desire is love in some form, you
mhm.
know and so by being it and emitting it, you're creating it in your environment, which is changing the environment. And right now, of course, in my opinion, we're on the verge of a new shift in consciousness that's going to be just beautiful. And if I was going to explain it, I would just explain it kind of like this. They call it the Christ consciousness, or sometimes even the second coming, they say.
Mhm,
In my belief about that idea is that my buddy from years ago, Jeshua, when he came into form remembering everything from his higher consciousness, his
mhm,
Holy Spirit. And what I think is happening right now is we here are shifting our consciousness up into that form. And so we're shifting up into the Christ consciousness.
mhm.
And and that is all heart centered. It's not in
Right.
here, it's down in here. And I love this whole idea of creating a space where people can focus on your candle, and
Mhm.
then and all together go, okay, we have something to focus on, let's do it together. Boom. I think it's lovely. It's lovely.
Yeah, well, I was talking, I'm going to have a whole series of people that have different skills, different abilities, and different perspectives, but they're all very spiritual people in their own way. And I was talking with one of them today, and he said, it's so weird because I mentioned this. He was thinking about trying to create the image of a giant tent that was a safe place for you to come and
Mm,
be who you are. And I had read a quote this morning that said, be so completely who you are in yourself that you give other people the confidence to do that.
yeah.
And that's what I want to do. I want people to, you know, I could just burn 9 candles and set it up to make money, which is basically what it found. When I first learned this 30 years ago, that's what was going on. But obviously didn't make all the money I wanted to make, because
Mm,
I'm still working at 72. But you over the years, I found out if it depended, if you focused on money, then that's where it went. If you could focus on mutual respect, people getting their act together, different things like that. And the fact you do it over 9 days so that it builds every day. And if you tumble into this, if you're watching us now, this is day one. If you saw it on day 4 and said, oh, I got to go back and catch up, that's perfectly fine. Just be there for the 9 times that we all focus, because there are going to be all different sorts of folks focusing on this. And I agree that I don't think people pay enough attention to their heart center and that reactive thing. When you're sitting there and you're being reactive and you're kind of fearful. I had a young lawyer who came to my reading table one time at the wine bar, and I'm sure he had a couple glasses. It's the only reason he would have come to my table. And he sat down and he said, we did a really good reading on my friend. And so we got to talking, and I taught him that breathing exercise. And I said, just close your eyes and try this. Accommodate a sweet little old lady sitting in the wine bar, right? So he did it. And I said, what happens when you open your eyes? And he said, the room's so much brighter. The air. And he said, I have a boss who, when he calls us into meetings where we're going to discuss a case, I can feel his eyes going around the room, and he always pins it on me. And even though I know the law and everything else, I can't pull it up. I said, next time you're going into a meeting with him, go stop at the restroom on the way in and do that breathing exercise, and then come out. Don't have to tell anybody why you're in there. Come out just before you go in the meeting. And he said, yeah, sure. I said, look, the lights were brighter. Maybe you'll see things a little brighter if you do that. So I didn't see him for about 4 weeks, and he came back and he sat down and he goes, it works. I said, what happened? And he said, I'd gone into one more meeting without remembering what you said. And I thought, God, I can't do too many more of these. So I went in the bathroom and I did the breathing, and I came out and I sat at my usual place, and his eyes went around the table, and he looked at me and he said, he almost looked shocked. He knew I wasn't a little mouse waiting to get pounced on by the big cat. So he went around the table and found the other mouse. But, and I said, so what are you going to do? And he said, I actually think I'm going to get out of that law firm. I said, really? And he said, yeah. He said, this stuff works. And I had several business people that dealt with me when I was out doing that. And I would teach them these little tricks on that they would think is woo-woo. I had a guy who actually, before COVID, he'd hired me to put together a discussion of the world of woo, not woo-woo. We're not going to make everybody woo-woo, but just how to take the little parts out that you can use in business. And because I had taught him how to do some things that he said they just made his stay so much easier and magical. And he wanted his staff to have the opportunity to learn that stuff. Right. And I know you have a small experience with doing something like that.
Well, when you said earlier about you allowing yourself to be fully yourself, that's giving yourself unconditional love. Because when you don't allow yourself, you have a condition. Right. You're putting the condition on it. I had a lady come to me, and she said to me, John, I'm going to end my relationship with my mother. And I said, really? Why? She said, every time we get together, we just butt heads and fight. And I said, well, here's what I want you to do for me. Just like you did for this gentleman. I said, here's what I want you to do for me. Next time you're with your mom and you start to butt heads, I want you to take a breath, relax. And I want you to turn to your mother. And I want you, after that breath, I want you to say, Mom, no matter what you do or say, I will always love you. And she says, I don't think I can say that. I said, why? She says, I don't feel that. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you permission to do it and say it, but not think it until she gives you a reason. And the next time I saw her, she came up and she said, oh my God, everything's better. I said, what happened? She says, well, I saw my mother, we started butting heads. I did exactly what you said. I took a breath. I said, Mom, no matter what you do or say, I'll always love you. And Mom started crying. She says, I love you too. And they've had the greatest relationship ever since. Now, what that was is she gave herself unconditional love with the breath. And then she made a statement that gave her mother unconditional love so her mom could feel it too. And that changed everything. That first breath starts a motion. And
Mhm.
right now, I don't know if you can see that my my
Hairs
goosebumps
are
are coming
sticking
up
up. Yep.
all
Mhm.
over my body, except for here.
Yeah.
My hair doesn't stick up there too often.
Yeah. Mhm.
But that that feeling, that breath, that it
Mhm.
brings up a sensation. Over the years, I did all kinds of meditation. I now meditate twice a day for 40 minutes.
Mhm.
And over the years, I did breathing meditations, I did visual meditations, did all these things. But when I discovered that all of them came down to and getting into
Right.
that vibration, that space. Now, when I go to meditate, I sit down and I take one breath,
Mhm.
and that feeling comes in. I hold that feeling for 40 minutes, and
Mhm.
it changes my life. Everything is so much easier. People interact with me so much better because my vibration is connecting with everybody's vibration around me, and that feeling of love that I'm emitting is in my environment now, and people will show you exactly what you're delivering to the world.
Yes. And I have this. That's why we're here. That's why we're going to invite everybody to keep coming back day after day and see what other shiny face is opposite me in doing this. And I know there are going to be people who, the first time I did this, people wrote me and they said, "Why did you spring it on us?" This one woman said, "I had to stop the tape, run around my house, and find 9 red candles." And I'm like, first of all, I was like, "Do you live in Michael's or something?" I mean, who would have 9 red candles sitting around their house? But she did, and she lit the candles, and she said by the ninth day, she said, "I was so looking forward to the next time it was up." And
Right.
my goal is to have this up at 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and I'm going to put notices up about it so people know. But you don't have to do it at 1 p.m. If you have to do it later in the day, that's fine. Just know that big, bright, foggy 64 Crayola box of colors is waiting for you to come in and start coloring your life and bringing more depth and understanding into where you are. We want you to be there. We want you to come in. If you think, "Oh, I can't relax that much," fine. Put your unrelax button there. I don't care.
Yeah, trust is developed by results over time. So just
Right.
put the time in and just trust that it's happening, and you'll see the results.
And anyway, I want to thank John for coming and helping us. John's channel on YouTube is John of New. I will put it in the notes below. Like he said, he does personal readings. He also produces more shows than me. I mean, that man puts out 3 or 4 shows a day, but they're good and they're quick. So if you're really just want to catch something quickly, it's lots of fun. It's no offense to my astrologer friends, but man, those people can talk.
That's true.
They got you from every angle, as they would say. So
Well,
anyway,
they have a lot of information to put out, so we'll give
oh,
it.
I
I'll have to give them
know.
a little credit
And then, I
there.
mean, it was bad enough when I studied it in my 30s, but now they have all these asteroids and stuff. And I'm like, holy crap. I mean, there's like no room around that chart. But anyway, we hope each and every one of you will find some peace, find some joy, find a way to be your more complete self. We're all a work in progress. We may have times when we feel more complete and less complete, but you're welcome here, whatever point you're at.
And we recognize the love inside of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I recognize I have a friend who's a lapsed Catholic who said, "I could listen to John all day," and I know he comes from the same tradition I came from, but she said, "He's so nice."
Well, that's nice to hear.
So anyway, thank you all for coming, and we will this will go up on the 13th. We're starting on the 13th. It goes through the 21st, and I will see you later. Bye.